Look, folks, me and you, we got to talk. This is KD Drummond of bloggingtheboys.com, and I was recently challenged by my video editor to come up with an argument to prove why I believe that Dez Bryant is poised for greatness coming in the 2013 season. And you know I don't ever shy away from a challenge, especially one that I can win so easily. I actually made a prediction that I think that Dez Bryant could become, at least could compete or could warrant attention for AP Offensive Player of the Year. As I said many times, that award is kind of like the NFL's version of the Heisman Trophy. It only goes to running backs and quarterbacks. It rarely ever goes to a wide receiver. It's only happened twice, Jerry Rice back in 1987 and 1993. So for Dez to get that, it would have to be some sort of remarkable season, because even looking at what Calvin Johnson did last year when he gained almost 2,000 yards, he wasn't able to win that award. So it would have to be something really remarkable, and in addition to getting the stats, it would also have to come on a team that's doing very well. If you know Dez Bryant, you know he's an X receiver. That means, for the most part, he does play some Z, but the X receiver mostly plays on the line of scrimmage, which means that they're jammable, they're susceptible to press coverage and being thrown off their routes. But if you know anything about Dez Bryant, you know that's not really a possibility because of his tremendous, freakish athletic ability. He's 6'2", 225, very strong, huge hands, very hard to press him off the line of scrimmage. So when I said that he was going to be the Offensive Player of the Year, or at least be in contention for it, a lot of people that aren't followers of the Cowboys, aren't fans of the team, wanted to kind of buck back and say, you know, they're skeptical of whether or not he can actually pull this off. There was even a list of top 5 young wide receivers that didn't include Dez Bryant. So let's review what he does. Dez Bryant is right now having one of the best training camps that anybody has ever seen, and is building on what he had at the beginning of last year when he was making circus spectacular catches, tight coverage on him, and he was still able to go out there and basically do whatever he wanted. That's continued this year to an even greater degree because he progressed so much in his route running, and everybody wants to say, oh, well, when he came to the league, he didn't run precise routes or he didn't know the route tree. It's more so about the timing and getting the depth that's necessary for the receiver to be where the quarterback expects him to be, because the quarterback has to release the ball a lot of times before the receiver comes out of his break, before he turns around and actually can put his eyes on it, and then the ball is going to be there upon the wide receiver. So according to all reports that we've heard, Dez Bryant is doing a tremendous job in that now, and it's becoming second nature because he's been such a student of the game. We hear about him picking Jay Novacek's brain, and he's had a lot of great wide receiver coaches, including the retired Jimmy Robinson. He now has Derek Dooley, who by all accounts is doing a great job with the wide receivers in practice. So Dez is really making that step, and what I wanted to go through is some of the highlights over the last couple of years to help us see exactly what it is that Dez Bryant brings to the equation. Now, one of the first highlights that I wanted to go over was simply about his catch radius. He has, like I said, huge hands, but his catch radius, it doesn't matter if it's high, if it's low, Dez Bryant can get out there and get it. We saw that in the preseason game against San Diego last year when it was, a back of the end zone throw. It looked like the ball was about 9 feet in the air, 10 feet in the air, and Dez Bryant just skied, caught it with a reverse backhand and came down. He did come down toes out of bounds, but regardless, you could see the athleticism of what he displays. Other teams don't have wide receivers that can do what Dez Bryant did on that play. We obviously saw how clutch he is when he went up and skied for that Week 8 catch against the Giants where his fingertips came out of bounds with a couple seconds remaining in the game when the Cowboys were trying to mount that monumental comeback. And speaking of that monumental comeback against the Giants, that was actually very interesting in that Dez Bryant's season last year it was a tale of two halves of the season. The first half of the season, he had the legal issue going on. We're not going to get into that because that's old news now, but it was weighing on him at the time, and he had a, pretty rough start to the season. Only had 2 touchdowns in the first 8 games. But once all of that was cleared up, he went on a rampage. He had 10 touchdowns in the last 8 games of the season, or the last 7 of the last 8 games, including 7 in a row. The only game that he was really shut out in was against Washington, and you can't even call it being shut out because he had 4 catches for 71 yards, and everybody wants to anoint that as being D'Angelo Hall's best game ever. It's a 17.8 yard per catch average in 3 quarters. And then the man went out with a serious lower back injury that caused him to be wheelchaired out of the stadium. So if that's shutting them down, imagine what he can do full strength, which is what we're going to be seeing coming up. Now, another thing that Dez Bryant has is a suddenness to him, an ability to make moves in space that other receivers can't do. You can see that on this New England catch where he catches the ball on the sidelines and it appears to be that he's boxed into the sideline. He puts a shake on, breaks the ankles of two guys, and then proceeds to gain another 25 yards for the Cowboys on this play. It shows the dynamic suddenness that Dez Bryant has, which is another trait that I think he has above and beyond the competitors at the wide receiver position. Now, along with the dynamic suddenness, he also has, what's the word I'm looking for? His unwillingness to be stopped, his will, that's the word I'm looking for. He has a dynamic will, and you can see that in a couple of these plays that we're going to look at now. Against the Rams last season, 2 seasons ago in 2011, there was a play where it's pretty much a staple of what we saw from Dez Bryant early in his career. He caught the ball, he got hit by one guy, and there was no chance for this one guy to take him down. He just shrugged him off, kept going down the field, took on another couple guys, and the entire team was in the picture. It was like they were posing for the preseason team picture by the time everybody got there to tackle Dez Bryant. And we saw that again last year against the Eagles, where he caught basically, a quick hitch on the sideline, and then he just bowled over the cornerback on his way into the end zone. There was just no chance of the cornerback stopping him from getting in for the touchdown. And that's the kind of will and physical aggressiveness that Dez Bryant shows on a regular basis. So you combine all of that with the fact that, like I said, he can high point the ball. He can reach over a receiver that's covering him tightly like he did against the Bills back in 2011, where he just simply reached over the cornerback and plucked the ball off, from in front of his face mask, went in for the touchdown. These are the type of things that Dez Bryant does on an everyday basis. And then on top of that, he can go out and stretch out to get the pass that's low. He can get around the receiver even when he's being interfered with, like he did last season against the Eagles when he scored a great touchdown from Tony Romo. Now, speaking of Romo, that's another reason why I'm very excited about what Dez Bryant can do, is the fact that these guys are building a rapport that I think is going to be even greater than what Romo was able to forge with Terrell Owens when he was in Dallas. And I think that's part of the reason why you could see this explosion of what Dez Bryant is capable of doing in 2013, is that those two guys being on the same page, mixed in with the fact that he's getting practice reps against a great press corner in Brandon Carr, and then Morris Claiborne, who's obviously on the come up as a young cornerback. The reps that he's getting against those guys, I think, are going to be basically symbolic of what he's going to get in the best tests for the 2013 season. So if your cornerbacks are, a great tandem and you can beat them all the time, getting to game days on Sunday is going to be nothing. And that's pretty much what I think is going to happen with Dez Bryant in 2013. So, that's pretty much where I stand with Dez Bryant. Like I said, I see great things from him. He can pretty much run any pattern. He can run the fades. He can run the slants. He can run the comebacks, boxing people out. He has a big frame for that. Like I said, he has great, huge hands, soft hands when it comes to catching the ball. He puts his hands down in front of his body, and then he brings the ball in. He doesn't body catch at all. He's just one of those wideouts that unless you get a serious jam on him at the line of scrimmage, which is pretty much an impossibility because of how much strength he has, that you're going to be lost. He's going to be able to get separation at some point in the route, and Tony Romo's accuracy is going to be able to get the ball to him. So that's my quick take on why I think that Dez Bryant is going to have a tremendous season this year. Go ahead in the comments. I know there were a lot of people that weren't on the Dez Bryant bandwagon last year when everything happened. They wanted to see him cut. Look at you now. I'm just all in for this season. And like I said, it's not something that I do normally, is when I just sit here and pontificate about a particular player's exploits. But I really see nothing in the way of Dez Bryant becoming probably up there with Calvin Johnson as 1 and 1A as the best wide receivers in the league. I know there's a lot of young guys, Julio Jones, AJ Green, Demaryius Thomas. There's a lot of young guys out there that have the potential to be that guy, but I don't think anybody has anything on Dez Bryant. This is KD Drummond, blogging the boys. Follow me on Twitter at KDP10for10, 10FOR10. Salute.